I know that what I am about to say is difficult to believe, and you will surely call me crazy and sick. But I can no longer bear it. I must reveal the secret I have kept for so long, a secret that has nearly killed me. I am Emma, 35 years old. It all began when I fell in love with Ethan. He was the lifeline I found after years of crushing loneliness. I followed his every move, knowing things about him that no one else knew. I waited for the day we would finally be together, but unfortunately, I woke up one morning to the news of his engagement. And to whom? To Olivia, my closest friend. Hatred consumed my heart and my life, and I became blind to my own actions. I went to her house to congratulate her. She was tense and anxious, saying to me, "Please don't be upset with me for agreeing, but my parents forced me, and you see that he is perfect and cannot be refused." I told her not to worry, that I wasn't sad, that it was fate, and that I would certainly be happy for her. She smiled, and I saw a sense of security return to her eyes. But she was wrong. She should never have trusted me. I left her house knowing exactly where I was going. I went to see Father Barnabas. He asked me what I wanted to do this time, a charm, black magic, or something else. I told him that this time I wanted death. He warned me that the cost was high and that the demands of the servants would be heavy, but I assured him I was ready. He asked if I had brought anything belonging to her, so I produced a lock of her hair and a piece of her clothing. He looked at them and said it wasn't enough. He needed blood, a part of her blood, because a death hex must be written in blood. When I asked him indignantly how I was supposed to get that, he told me to find a way, and once I had it, to meet him at midnight in the Eastern Cemetery. I left him with an even stronger determination to hurt her. I had to burn her heart as she burned mine and deprived me of the thing I loved most. I returned to her while she was preparing for the engagement party and offered to help. In the middle of the day, I asked her for a glass of water. As she went to get it, a diabolical idea struck me. I let the glass fall and shatter on the floor. She rushed over in a panic to pick up the broken glass. I pretended to help her, but deliberately stepped on her hand. The glass shards pierced her skin, and she began to bleed profusely. She wiped her hand with a towel, but I secretly wished she would bleed more and more. While she went to look for something to stop the bleeding, I seized the opportunity and stuffed the towel into my bag. Now my plan was complete. Let me tell you how I first met Father Barnabas. A long time ago, I went to him because I wanted to get married. Everyone said I was under a spell to stop my life from progressing. I didn't believe in such things, but after much insistence, I visited him, and he confirmed that I was indeed cursed. Since then, I began using him to achieve my petty revenges. A boss at work who annoyed me, a neighbor who wouldn't leave me alone, and so on. I won't deny that it is enjoyable to see someone who wronged you suffer before your eyes, while only you know the reason. It is a powerful feeling. You surely think I am oppressive and cruel, but believe me, I am ordinary. If you ever tasted the bitterness of injustice and the burning of a broken heart, you would know what I am talking about. I remember once at Barnabas's place, I saw a new girl visiting for the first time. It was clear she wasn't there for anything good. She was talking to everyone, asking about their stories and why they came there. Her name was Nora. It was obvious she wasn't like us. Curiosity was the only thing that brought her there. Later, it turned out she was a journalist who published many stories about Barnabas's clients in a series titled The Charlatan. You cannot imagine how Father Barnabas took his revenge on her, how he destroyed her life and career. From that day on, Barnabas became my idol in evil. I won't linger on this, but midnight has finally arrived, and I must go. I headed to the cemetery, the sound of my heartbeat louder than the silence around me. It wasn't fear, but excitement. In just a few minutes, I would have my revenge. It was an incredible sensation. Surely you say, I'm very bad and evil. But perhaps it is because you always listen to people who only pretend to be kind. I reached the cemetery, and from the moment I arrived, I heard whispering like the hissing of snakes, Many overlapping voices, their source unknown. I began to hear someone calling my name, but every time I looked, no one was there. The street lights began to flicker. I thought about turning back, but my thirst for revenge was far stronger than my fear. I took my steps, knowing exactly where I was going. I was heading to the cursed tomb, where Barnabas performed all his rituals. The whispering grew louder, and the voices more violent. I reached the tomb. The sound was coming from within. I looked around. No one was there. I decided to turn back, but as I moved, I felt someone grab my leg. A hand had emerged from underground. I looked at the ground to see what was happening. Suddenly, the lights went out. The whispering was coming from right beneath my feet. I tried to free my leg, crying in terror, but it was useless. Suddenly, I felt a hand on my shoulder, and everything disappeared. The light returned, and the hand was gone. I looked up. It was Father Barnabas. He told me, I must harden my heart, for once you choose the path of evil, you must never fear. Then he asked if I brought what was required. I said yes, and took the towel from my bag. He began taking things out of his bag. Old, strange-looking books, a cup of blood, and the entrails of some unknown creature. He took the towel, placed it in a bowl of water, and began reciting incantations. The blood on the towel began to flow heavily into the bowl. Then, he took a quill and used the blood to write strange words on animal hide. He placed the lock of hair in the center of the hide, wrapped it with the entrails, and dipped it into the bowl of blood. Then he looked at me and said, "Now, it is your turn." I looked at him anxiously and asked what I had to do. He told me that what he was about to ask was difficult, but I had a choice. Either do it and complete the work, or refuse and my request would fail. I asked him again what I must do, and he said he would open this tomb for me, and I would spend the night inside it until dawn. I screamed in protest. "What are you saying? Impossible." He replied that, unfortunately, my request would not be granted. I told him bitterly that every other time, I'll let him do everything alone. He explained that this time was different. This was death. I said I agreed, but I asked which tomb I would enter. He looked at me with a wicked smile and pointed. "This one, the tomb of my master." I screamed in horror, "No, anything but this tomb. I might never come out." He said coldly that he could do nothing for me. These were his orders, assuring me that he would not hurt me because I was one of his most obedient followers. My mind drifted back to the very first task I performed for Barnabas. We were in front of the same tomb, but he had asked for something else then. The first time, he asked me to tear up a holy book, and I did so with difficulty. His demands grew, asking for acts of greater blasphemy, and I did them all out of the hatred that blinded me. I won't deny it wasn't easy, but the world isn't fair, and I had to act. It is the law of the survival of the fittest. One cannot be weak or let their rights go. Believe me, the weak have no place among us. The last time he asked something of me, it was to dig up a grave and remove a corpse from its shroud. It was the body of a newborn infant. I took him out and placed the work in his mouth. The smell was foul, foul beyond imagination, and the sight was horrific. For a moment, my heart ached for him, but I told myself this was his end, and he surely felt nothing. You are probably wondering how someone like me could love. I can tell you it is entirely different. I could have changed for Ethan. Once he returned to me after I killed her, I would have changed for him. I would have stopped all of this and lived a normal life like anyone else. He began digging into the tomb. Darkness was everywhere, save for the light of the full moon. I forgot to mention, the moon must be full for the magic to succeed. The silence was eerie, as if something powerful was about to happen. He opened the tomb and told me to get in. I was terrified as I looked into that darkness, the place I feared most. But Barnabas didn't wait. He shoved me inside and locked the door. Before he left, he said, "Do not open your eyes no matter what you hear. Keep them closed until dawn, and everything will be over." I began to hear the whispering again. The sound drew closer, like someone crawling on the ground, the sound of bones snapping. I pressed my hands over my eyes to keep them shut. The crawling continued, accompanied by a hiss like a serpent's. I squeezed my eyes shut even tighter. I began to feel something walking on my body. I don't know what it was, but I think it was the hand of a small child. The whispering turned into screaming. I covered my ears. The sound was louder than anything I had ever imagined. It was screaming at me hysterically. Suddenly, it sank its claws into my body. I forced my eyes open. What I saw was a small child, his clothes tattered in his eyes. They weren't in their sockets. He looked like the infant whose mouth I'd stuffed with magic. But this was different. He was furious. His red eyes glowed in the dark. He withdrew his claws and began to transform into a massive, powerful serpent. It sank its fangs into my neck. I feel a sharp pain spreading through my entire body. I try to scream in agony, but no sound comes out. I feel my soul leaving me, a strange suffocation, as if I am dying. I'm almost dead. Perhaps this is the end.